Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Checkpoint Corner, our video game podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and joined with me, like every week, we've got Tyler,
Hello.
Ryan again, and Matherin. Tyler
Hello.
and Matherin, they're here with
Yep.
us. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah. How's your week?
It's been fine. It's all right. I've just been playing more Mad Max.
Yeah.
Nothing too exciting to report on.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, let's see. What did I don't think I talked about it last week, but I did beat Martha is Dead. It was
Nice.
a little boring.
Yeah.
We all three of us beat a game last night.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Little Hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the second Dark Pictures game.
Yeah.
Little Hope. It's pretty goofy. Yeah,
It's a lot of goofy.
pretty. It certainly was a game.
Yeah.
Have you been playing anything, Mather?
Yeah, I've been playing. I started a new playthrough of Fallout 4 with
Oh,
mods and
yes.
stuff.
Nice.
So, should be fun.
Yeah. What faction are you gonna join?
Probably. I don't know, because last time on my playthrough I did the Railroad, so I'm probably gonna do the Minutemen this time.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
Nice.
hmm Anything else you guys been playing?
not necessarily, no. Just more
Not
of the
really.
same.
Yep.
Well, our topic this week is we're going to be talking about some soundtracks and games that we think are really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we all have our list. But before we get to that, there's some stuff. So the pre-orders for God of War Ragnarok came up for this past Friday.
Oh really?
Ooh.
So I'm going to get your pre-orders in. They had like the collector's edition. I don't know what they're actually called. But like and I'm not going to get them, but they didn't. I hate it when collector's edition don't come with the physical game.
That's
Yeah, that
that's dumb.
sucks.
It just comes with a code to download the game. I want a
Yeah.
disc if I'm gonna if I care that much about games to get a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Well,
I want the physical
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to pre-order that sometime.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then I want to talk about this last week, but there's a couple. Oh, sorry about that. There's a couple games that they were like. If you like the '80s, there was a RoboCop game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be like a first-person shooter.
I do like
So-
80s.
And then there was a Terminator game announced too.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one sounded cool because it was gonna be like set in the apocalyptic future.
Do you play as a Terminator?
I don't think so.
Well, that sucks.
I mean, I don't know. They were just announced, so who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's just all I wanted to bring up. But we can start our list. Why don't we start with Matherin?
Mather.
That's
Matherin, what's
me.
the first one on your list for video game soundtracks?
The first one on mine's pretty big. It's Minecraft.
Oh.
I know it's just saying Minecraft in some people's ears just kind of a joke, but when it comes to soundtrack, I don't think there is a joke with that because it is like genuinely one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard.
Yeah, a good soundtrack should really just get you in the mood for a video game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Minecraft is really good at getting you in the mood for Minecraft.
Yeah, it really sets the mood for anything that you're getting into there. Like, whenever there's like the fights with the Wither or the Ender Dragon, there's no music. But when you're just doing Minecraft stuff, building a house or collecting materials, there's just the most somber, mellow music that plays. And it's just such a relaxing experience, which is exactly what I think Minecraft should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, like, when you change dimensions, you go to like the end or the nether. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The music there is it's just incredible. Still like super mellow and somber, but more like creepy in some ways, and more eerie in some ways, depending, if you're in the end or the nether. If in the end it's like really like kind of jaded, it feels like it's super like distorted, and the nether is just kind of like the music itself like makes you feel like hot.
Yeah.
It like I don't know how
It's
to
very
explain
foreboding.
that. Yeah. It's like very foreboding, just but also very somber at the same time. It's such a perfect blend of music, and I can sing endless praise for it. Honestly, it's that good.
And I believe the new Nether music that came out with that Nether update is composed by Lana Rain.
Yeah.
And that is someone who also composed one on my list.
Yeah, one on my
big
list
fan
too.
of big fan of them.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Minecraft?
Not necessarily. If you haven't heard Minecraft music, first off, shame on you.
It's just good background
Yeah,
music.
It's good
perfect.
background
Yeah.
music for anything. Yeah, just put it on. Just listen to it if you want to relax.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. All right. And then I guess we'll move on to the first one on my list.
Mhm.
So I put down the Castlevania games. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
a lot of those older like SNES, NES titles, they're so simple that the music needs to be like excel in a lot to make
Yeah.
the game seem more than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those games are so simple, but the music makes it feel like you're getting transported into another world, making it you're being more like engaged with this with
Yeah,
the music.
yeah.
And just like that melody, Bloody Tears, and
Oh
just
man.
going running through the castle, killing all the monsters to
Mhm.
that music. Symphony of the Night has great music. Just all of the Castlevania games,
Yeah, man.
they're just so well done.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just bring everything to another level.
Yeah,
in those
there's
music.
with Castlevania. It's like there's a reason why the music has gained so much. Like infamy is not the right word, but it's just become
Praise.
yeah, just so much praise. It's damn good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Mhm.
What's on your list, Tyler?
I have Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, that's on my list too.
Oh, it is very good. It just like amplifies everything about the game, like the action. It can get really intense, and like the
Yeah.
music just goes perfectly with that, and like emotional
Yeah.
parts. It just
It's-
like rides with that. And I was listening to some of the songs, and I almost teared up listening.
Yeah.
It's very faithful to like to the instruments that originated in Japan too.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
Like almost all of the music, no, just all of the music in that game has like traditional Japanese instruments played for
Mhm.
them, which really makes you feel like you're more in that time period.
Yeah.
And it's really good when you're in a battle. It's just super like epic, and it's like it's like a war drum kind of sound to it. It's got that kind of sound to it, but it's also intense. And in the somber, like the more sadder parts, yeah, it does really hit you emotionally.
Yeah. I think the music just like delivers on every aspect of the game, and
Yeah.
like, it just like amplifies, which is what like a good soundtrack should do.
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely.
It just brings up the rest of the story and the epicness of it all.
Yeah. It's good in games when they kind of just let the music breathe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What's on next on your list?
Um,
Valoran?
The next one on my list, I don't mean to steal this from you, Ryan, but it's Celeste.
That's on my list as well.
Yeah.
Deserves to be talked about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I don't doubt that it's not on anyone's list. Like you said, the Lana
Rain.
Yeah, Lana Rain did the Nether music in Minecraft. She did all the music for Celeste. And part of why the Minecraft music's so good is because it's made by Lana Rain, and her music in Celeste is phenomenal.
It's so good.
Kind of like going with the style of just 8-bit, 16-bit graphics that they're using in the game. There's a lot of like kind of chiptune melodies, kind of mixed in with more modern instruments, and it works so well with not just that, but the story that you're being told of just going up a mountain. It's very uplifting.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's another soundtrack that I highly recommend listening to.
It is really good. I listened to it by itself in my own time.
Yeah,
it is
It's
just
definitely
like
on one of my playlists.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole game is kind of just telling you that you can do this, you can climb to the mountain,
Yeah.
like you can get through this, and the music also just feels like, because whenever you die, you're just like, why? But then the music keeps playing, and it gives you that motivation to keep on going.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's pushing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very good.
It's very pretty.
It is very pretty. Yeah.
So the next one on my list is another one that should be on everyone's list unless they haven't played it. But Nier Automata has a great soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think of that one.
Like really good. Like when you go to the like the amusement park, and that music is just really like kind of kind of beautiful, but also kind of like suspicious because you know
Yeah.
something's not right here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
kind
And
of
just
eerie.
weight of the world. It's so emotional, and that game is so good at letting the music take center stage and just letting like you feel the emotions, and the music is just tells the story. And it's a great soundtrack. Lots of songs too. I think it
Yeah.
actually won soundtrack or best soundtrack whenever it came out, 2017 or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
really good one.
Hmm. Yeah. The next one on my list, if you're ready to move on,
I'm ready.
is from The Last of Us. It does such a good. It like does so many things with just like a guitar, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel like lonely, sadness, and it just like carries all these emotions
Yeah, yeah.
through the entire thing. And yeah, I just think it's really good. And
Yeah.
it's just like most of it is just like just a single guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
it
it-
kind of amplifies the feeling of you and Joel, or Ellie and Joel's journey of them being alone, and kind of like the lightheartedness of their relationship starting out, you know, because you
Mhm.
know Ellie is just a kid. I'd say that perfectly sets the tone for that game.
It does, and the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just think it's a great soundtrack that amplifies the emotion of
Yeah.
it all.
It fits the
Mhm.
game like a perfect puzzle piece.
It does.
Yeah, fits it like a glove. The next one on mine, you probably saw this coming, is Divinity 2.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about so many times before. I'm not even going to really talk much about the music here. Well, I mean, I'm obviously going to talk about the music, but like,
Let's just talk about Divinity.
no, it's just like the game itself, there's so much that's happening, and there's so much that the music does to help accomplish like these seemingly impossible tasks that you're put up against sometimes. The music itself too is like at the beginning of the game, it has an interesting thing that you can do is where you select an instrument, and every time you kill an enemy in battle, then the music will kind of like shift in with that instrument being like the sole priority of the music that's
Mhm.
playing. And I thought that was really interesting. You don't see that a whole lot in games. Well, you do. I'll take that back. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing that they added.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next on yours?
So the next one on mine is, I think you guys probably have this, is the Persona 5 soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Persona would not be near like half as good as it is without the soundtrack. Because man, when you're dungeon crawling and going through the palaces and all that, without the music, it would become so mediocre.
Yeah.
Like the
yeah.
gameplay's great, don't get me wrong. The gameplay's fun, the level design's pretty good, but
Yeah.
just the music just gets you so pumped up to do this heist, and it fits just the whole aesthetic of that game so well with
Yeah.
that, like that jazz and stuff, and like it's
Yeah.
just all works together so well. And then like when you just finally get to the day where you can make the heist, then it
Mhm.
plays that music, and you can running through, and it just pumps you up so much.
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes things so much cooler than they actually are in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without that music, that game would be such a drag. Like,
Yeah.
not just in the sense that, like, you know, a game without music would suck. It's just going through every mission, you don't have this music to help lift you through these tasks. Like, that would suck.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would get through that game, I feel like.
Yeah,
but
the-
the music really
The
brings
music does a
through.
lot of heavy lifting
Mm.
for
It
that game, I
does.
think.
Yeah.
It
I
definitely
haven't
does.
played it, but the music is the only reason why I kind of want to play it. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a great game, but like that game style, like I've played those kind of games before. I wasn't a big fan. I'm sure Persona 5 does a lot better, but like the music really makes me want to play it.
Yeah.
Hmm. There's so many good songs. Last Surprise, Life Will Change, Rivers in the
Yeah.
Desert.
Just
Winds
iconic
of Fate.
songs.
Fate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So good. But what's the next one on your list, Tyler?
This probably comes as no surprise if I put Hollow Knight.
Last
Yeah,
Surprise. Nice,
Yeah.
Tyler.
It's not the last surprise.
I had that
but
on
it's-
my list too, but I didn't want to steal the
thunder.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it's like your favorite game.
it is.
Um,
It just like makes the atmosphere of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
yeah,
It's like all the visuals are great in it, but like the music just like brings it to a whole new level. And it's got boss fights. The boss fight songs are so good, and they
Yeah.
like keep you in this rhythm. And it just like keeps going, and
Yeah.
it's just like so good throughout the entire game. And it's
Yeah.
another one that I listen to it
Just-
on its own.
Yeah.
Just listening and learning to the history, like looking and learning the history on its own from the game it would be kind of boring if not for the music, which really like it sets the tone, obviously, but how somber and just like it really gets you interested in the entirety of Hollow Nest.
Yeah.
Like you enter this new area and this music starts playing and you have no idea like what this area is or what, but you're so interested and you already know what feeling is like correlated with this area, like what history lied with it in the past or what's happening to it now. Like it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so perfect, and that's like one of the greatest things that music can do in a game. It's just really do the heavy lifting in areas like that.
And then like when you get into boss fights, it
Yeah.
plays like that. The violin comes in. It gets super intense, and I think
Yeah.
like alongside with the exploration, just like exploring the overworld, it also really excels at like keeping you engaged in like boss fights, and like even though the
Yeah.
boss fights in the game kind of like do the same thing over and over again, like the music adds to it and like encourages you to like keep with their rhythm.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. There is a certain rhythm to the boss fights because of the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is great. All right, the next one on my list. The soundtrack for this game, Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh yes, I'm not familiar with this soundtrack, but I know it's really good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I haven't played a whole lot of Guilty Gear Strive, but that soundtrack alone could be like its own like standalone like album of music. Like, and then there's just, the game that comes with it too.
You buy it for the music, and the game is
yeah.
DLC.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it feels like, 'cause that music kicks ass. It is so good. Really gets your blood pumping, really gets you in the mood to just punch someone in the face.
Beat the crap out of someone.
Yeah. Which, I'm just going to go ahead and say that is the same case for the next one on my list, which is Blaze Blue. They're kind of like in the same category of they just could be their own standalone album. In fact, the Blaze Blue one, that soundtrack I did just have on my phone for like the longest time, because we like burned the CD,
Yeah.
and just had the soundtrack on there. Both of those just have incredibly composed, just super fast-paced guitar soundtracks, and there's not much else I need to say about it, really.
Yeah, shout out to all the fighting games out there. A lot of them have really good soundtracks.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of essential if you want to make a fighting game.
Yeah, it is definitely
It definitely
essential.
adds a exciting element to it.
Yeah.
Speaking of exciting, so I'm gonna be on so Halo music is great. Like an FPS story game with that good of music, like that's amazing. I love the main theme so much.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I played this game, so I can't remember a lot of the music, but the main theme sticks with you
It
a
does.
lot. Just that like angelic choir.
It's so
And then it
iconic,
like
too.
gets into it when it's the dun, dun, dun.
Uh-huh.
You're just like ready to storm the beaches and take out the Covenant.
Yeah.
It just fits. It feels like it was like Master Chief is just it emanates around him.
Yeah.
It's so badass, and it makes you want to hop in a warthog and run some grunts over.
Yeah.
It's just another soundtrack that pushes you to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's so iconic. I didn't put it on my list because I just knew you would put it on your list.
Oh.
So I didn't want to bother.
I see. Yeah, but I think that's one of the most iconic main themes in video games.
Absolutely.
Too bad a lot of the Halo games can't live up to it.
Yeah.
What's next on your list, Tyler?
Next one on my list is Oxenfree.
Okay, I played this game. I can't. I see. I was thinking about that game, but I played it so long ago that I cannot remember the soundtrack.
It's a little like Celeste. Well, not really, but it's like kind of like a distorted sounding. It's really eerie most of the time, but like it also like it's also just really good. And I have some of the songs on my playlist, but
Yeah.
I think it's really good at like setting the tone, like the eeriness and like this
The
distorted
mystery.
the mystery. Yeah, because a lot of times you're messing around with a radio,
Yeah.
and like a lot of the sounds like it's coming from the soundtrack, sound like it's coming from like a broken radio sometimes. It just like adds to the aesthetic, and I just absolutely love the aesthetic in general of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think the soundtrack just like adds to that
Mm-hmm.
eeriness and mystery, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you intrigued to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
And yeah, it also can get like confrontational, I guess,
Yeah.
with like the characters and stuff, and like when
Yeah.
they're going through an emotional time and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
I wonder how the second one's music is.
Did it come out yet or no?
I think it came out on June 12th.
Oh, interesting.
I gotta play it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're
on
like-
everything.
We're like blowing through these ones really fast. But next one on my list, if you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Is God of War the remake?
Yes.
There's just like something so like villainous about this just bellowing like choir and everything that's just surrounding and encompassing the character and the setting, because Kratos is just this, he's not a good guy.
He's a horrible guy.
Yeah, and so every time he's on screen, there's just this choir and this orchestra that really like, makes him emanate this power around him just from the music alone. Like, yeah, you see him too, but if you were to just see him like walking in the door and then it's just like this frame on him, like that would be really awkward, honestly. That music really brings his character and how he's aged to life, though. How he is this like powerful figure now, and now that he's more vulnerable with his son, but there's still people in this world that like know about him and about what he's done. So, and the player, more than likely, or even if they don't know, will then know soon enough that
Yeah, they'll get cued in.
yeah, they'll get cued in that he's here.
He's here.
Yeah, like it just does such a good job at illustrating his character. And the music isn't as prominent when it's like his son, but whenever and not going into spoiler territory here, but near the end when they're both fighting together more, which is a tiny spoiler.
They fight something together.
Yeah, they fight something together. Then like with the music like becoming like for both of them, that it's very powerful.
It is, yeah.
So powerful.
So
Just like this next soundtrack.
Oh, man.
So Metal Gear Rising.
Oh, my
is
gosh.
so badass.
yeah.
It's such an over the top game, and it deserves an over the top soundtrack, and it complements each other so well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get lost slashing people, and you're just like, oh man, this music is kind of kicking ass right now, just like me.
Yeah.
and you just have fun just jamming out to some awesome tunes while slicing people up. It's like, who doesn't want to play that game?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's great. Listen to the album. It's so good. I have a couple songs on my playlist from that album. That's all. I
that's
just
all you
want to say it's really badass, and people should listen to it.
It is. Well, another badass soundtrack
Oh,
is the Doom soundtrack.
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
that was on my list.
It is just so intense, and it like just ripping through. Like that game would be like nothing if it didn't have the soundtrack. It does.
It'd be some fun gameplay, but yeah, the soundtrack definitely gets you more immersed into it.
Yeah, it just like the music you can feel in your chest, and
Yeah.
and you just like feel like you've become Doom Guy or Doom Slayer. I don't know which one it is.
No, yeah, it was pretty interesting coming from a musical standpoint. The producer for the music, Mick Gordon, like went out of his way to, for at least for the first and the second Doom, went out of his way to just find interesting ways to produce the music. Like he found like rusty old broken guitars with like really low jagged strings on the lower ends,
Oh, wow.
to play like some of the tunes in it. Yeah.
I had no
Very
idea
creative.
about that.
Yeah, it's very creative. He also had like a 9-string guitar, I think, to get the lowest chords possible in some
Yeah.
songs, just to really make the feeling of that you are in hell and fighting hell
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
very prevalent.
It's like if that music started playing, I feel like I would have the courage to take on hell.
Yeah, oh,
Absolutely.
definitely. You have the courage to do anything.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting too to see in. Sorry, not to steal your thunder or anything.
No, no,
but,
go ahead.
In Doom Eternal, you might have known this, but he like brought in like kind of a bunch of heavy metal singers to do this choir, like
Yeah.
this demonic choir, and I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah, it's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, the whole system into making that super creative and like it really works.
Yeah.
Like it goes above and beyond.
oh, yeah, definitely, yeah,
Seriously.
yeah.
What's next on your list, Mathurin?
Next on my list, well, it was going to be Ghost of Tsushima, but we already covered that. So I wanted to talk about New Vegas, and kind of just the older Fallout games, because I noticed that when I was playing the first Fallout game, not too long ago, I only played a little bit of it, so that was nothing worth mentioning when we were mentioning what games we were playing. I noticed, though, that one of the soundtracks in that game, like, was in New Vegas like a lot, but especially during like the creepier sections. And you start out that game, and just going out throughout Fallout 1, it's just a really, really creepy music that's going through. Like, it's super unsettling, no matter even if you're just trading with a trader or something. But I found it interesting when you're going into like delving into vaults in New Vegas that are creepy and unexplored, and just like, because the vaults always have something going wrong with them in those games.
Not my
that-
vault.
Yeah, it's like that mixed with the sound design of the game itself is just super eerie and stuff. And it was kind of nice seeing like the origins of where that eeriness came from. And then you get back on surface level, and the music's more just like old timey, fits the game pretty well, which it can goes for all Fallout games. But I really like how they incorporated it in New Vegas too, where they brought back the original soundtracks, because they did such a good job at making those spots just super creepy and eerie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's another soundtrack that's good at setting the atmosphere.
yeah, that's what a soundtrack should do.
Yeah, well, the next one on my list is a little indie game, Fury. Tyler, you
Fury.
played this game?
Yeah.
Great soundtrack. It was on my playlist for a little while.
So I wish I put that on my list. It's
It's-
based on it.
Yeah, it's the game's all about fighting boss fights, so you need some like just really good music to go with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just love those kind of games where you fight bosses and there's just some really good music in the background. It's kind of like this electronic music that plays, and it's really good. People should check out the album.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
Absolutely.
very impressive. But yeah, that game was just so elevated by the music.
Very, very high octane music
Yeah.
to match the pace of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, it really like again, like I think music in games and like in Fury especially, like just really help you get through the game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's like just fighting boss fights, like, yeah, it's hard to get through sometimes, but then if you got like really good art design and really good music, it's like
Yeah.
I want to kill everyone.
Yeah, I'm fine dying over and over again because I get to hear this music more.
Yep.
Do you have another one on your list, Tyler?
I don't, but
Oh,
Oh.
did you think of one?
maybe I'm gonna put
What's
out
he gonna say?
Breath of the Wild.
Oh, I had that on my
Yeah, I
list.
have Legend of Zelda on my list.
Yeah, but specifically Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So you can say
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda later.
Yeah.
But like obviously there's the iconic like chest opening music that everyone
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
But like Breath of the Wild music, I feel like is really relaxing.
Yeah, it is.
First
yeah.
of all, and I think it kind of takes like a back seat and like lets the gameplay or just
Mhm.
like the
environment.
yeah, and your actions really just like explore the world, and the music's just like back there like,
Oh
yeah,
my
you
gosh.
can do it.
I think one of the most relaxing things in a game I've experienced to date is just riding your horse through the breadth of Hyrule.
Mm-hmm.
The music, it doesn't even start right away, but as you gradually ride your horse, then it'll gradually rise up
Yeah.
this tone of just a small piano playing, and it's just like super somber, lets you soak in the scenery without overpowering it.
Yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, when you're just in the overworld, then music will come up with a few notes and chords every once in a while, still letting you take in everything around you, because that game is beautiful, first off.
It is.
There's so much to explore, so much to learn about the world. And then you get into combat, and there's this music that starts out like da-da-da. And it starts out like this. And honestly, I think this is ingenious. It's the perfect time for a fight of like what you're going up against. If you're fighting just a bunch of bokoblins, but what are they called?
Bokoblins?
Bokoblins, yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's just and you're gonna get over with that fight pretty quick. So it's just like a small little melody, but
Mhm.
that song that plays whenever you get into a fight will build up how the longer you are in a fight. Like, so if you're fighting like a Lionel, for example,
Yeah.
then you will get the longer version of that song, and it just builds up to that point where you're fighting this thing, and it's just super intense, like super crazy, just
Yeah.
so much is happening.
Yeah.
And
It's so well designed.
yeah, and then cuts out, it just fades out when you're done
Mhm.
with the battle perfectly. It's so masterfully done.
It's so simple, but so effective.
It is. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is. Oh, it's not even my turn.
Yeah. Wait your turn,
This
please.
is Matherin's turn.
This is my
is
turn.
what I was gonna say.
The next one on my list is Dying Light 2.
Okay.
I Dying Light, don't get me wrong, Dying Light 1 has a great soundtrack, and I think that alone deserves some recognition too. But I wanted to talk about Dying Light 2 because even with the mishaps that the game has in some areas, I feel like the soundtrack does carry a lot of it, and it's just so unique in a lot of aspects. Because for Dying Light 2, the story takes a much different pace than the first one. The first one, you're more focused on like how people are adapting to the situation, how you are turning against this organization that sent you out to do this. You know, spoilers, by the way. The second one is, this crazy story. And I'm not going to say anything about it to avoid spoilers, but the music is just so intense and like emotional. While at the same time, it's very quiet, I feel like, in a lot of areas. You have the main theme opening into the game, and you know that going through the main story, you're going to get this emotional journey. But it's also important, too, whenever you, set up a Night Runner's hideout or something, and the music starts playing there, it's very somber, and it kind of makes you slow down, realize this part of the journey is just these moments that you can savor, these moments that you can rest,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just very interesting, seeing how it blended that. I think it does a very good job at doing that and carrying the story in a lot of aspects. So.
Yeah, I don't really remember the second soundtrack all that well, but the first game kind of was annoying to me.
Really?
When it did like the loading screen, it was like wah or whatever.
No, see, the first game is set in Haran, which I think is a fictional city.
Yeah.
And then, but it also implements like music from that region with the like, oh,
Yeah.
and that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but it's like whenever like the loading screen like pops up and it plays that like one little sting or whatever,
Oh,
Yeah.
I got kind of annoyed from that.
or when you'd load in and go like,
Yeah.
dun-dun.
Yeah,
It's like
something like that.
Yeah, the first one was faithful in a lot of aspects
Mhm.
to just, Middle Eastern culture. But the music, too, was also very faithful while also blending it with like a, just more of like a techno, modern kind of music style, too. So I really enjoyed it for that. But I don't know, Dying Light 2 for me was just really unique.
I don't remember the soundtrack in Dying Light 2. If
Really?
the soundtrack's not obnoxious or like they like focus on the soundtrack, I won't notice it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which doesn't mean it's a bad soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't pay attention to soundtracks unless they're either really good or really obnoxious.
Yeah.
But this one I think is really good. That's why it's on my list.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
So the Skyrim soundtrack is really good.
Yeah.
It's got a great main theme
Mhm.
that is really badass.
Yeah.
And you can put it with anything and make any clip really badass with that music behind it.
Mhm.
And then just walking around Skyrim and that beautiful music that
Yeah.
it's similar fashion to like Breath of the Wild, where it just kind of like brings you into this world and you just kind of feel at peace walking around.
Yeah.
And then you know, maybe a dragon will pop up and it'll play that music.
It's loosely like Skyrim itself. It's very loosely based on Nordic, like,
Mythology.
Nordic mythology kind of things.
Well, yeah,
Just-
the Nords are basically Norse people.
yeah, they're basically Norse mythology. And the music, even though you're in this world, it's familiar to you, and as you're going through dungeons and whatnot, it's very familiar, and it makes you much more familiar with your surroundings as you progress through the game.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It does a really good job at selling, you know, whether or not the fight, or well, not whether or not, just like the fights and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scenery and everything.
Yeah, I wish the soundtrack did have more variety, but like,
Oh,
because
definitely.
yeah, I do like the track. Like, I think it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think of anything else, Tyler, or
No.
No.
Matherin?
All right, the next one on my list is Stardew Valley.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's another one of those.
Have you ever played Stardew Valley?
Yeah, I played a bit.
Okay.
I played it back on the PS4.
Okay.
Got angry at it though that time.
How do you get
because
angry at Stardew
Because
Valley?
I didn't know how to play.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was playing it a bit more on the Xbox kind of recently because I got bored, and it's a very like rustic, very homey kind of feel to it. Even it just makes you feel at home at this new place, even though you're super new to it. Everyone's so warm to you in the game, and therefore you just kind of feel warm inside from playing it and listening to this. You know, you're going about your day, chopping down trees, planting crops, watering crops,
Yeah.
doing everything with crops and maintaining this farm. But there's this soundtrack that kicks in that just makes it all very relaxing. Like it's just a breath of fresh air.
Mhm, a Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those games like sandbox. I don't know, those sandbox games. Sorry, I got through my phone. With those sandbox games, they just need like that right balance of music between where like you notice it and it brings you at peace, but it doesn't like overstay its welcome. So it's
Mhm.
not just like annoying.
Mhm.
I got my phone again.
Oh, you're doing that?
But yeah, just yeah, like Minecraft and Terraria and I don't know, like Stardew. Yeah, I just think those that music strikes a balance. The
Mm.
next one on my list is Cuphead.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
one game that that just a lot of work was put into this game, and they really wanted a style, and everything goes into that style, and that includes the music.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and it just brings this charm to life that is Cuphead, and it's so
Yeah.
charming just watching that animation and then listening to that music, because like just all part of the aesthetic to bring this just this vision of a game to life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like they knew what they wanted and they went with it, and the music is also just reflects that.
Oh, it's so fun to see the Cuphead kind of behind the scenes production, not just in the art department, which is incredibly impressive, by the way, but
Mhm.
as for the music, just like the passion of people in this jazz band, essentially,
Yeah.
just going at it. It's just so nice to see, and and it fits the aesthetic and the theme of just an old timey cartoon so
Yeah.
well.
It does.
Yeah, it makes it just super unique too.
Yeah, and in the game itself too, everything has that like kind of old timey grain to it, including the music. Because
Yeah.
if the music was like super crisp and just like there, it would feel kind of off.
Yeah.
But it has that like grainy sound to it as well, which really adds to it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tyler, looks like we're back to you.
Your game collection's too far away. I can't read it from.
Do you have another one on your list?
I have one more that I thought about. Shovel Knight was one that I wanted to mention because it's one that I fell in love with when I was playing that game.
I don't remember the soundtrack.
Specifically, the what's the Grim Reaper guy's name?
Grim Knights.
It wasn't Grim Knight. It was like
Let me do a Google.
I don't know. I haven't played Shovel
Keep
Knight.
talking.
really.
I played a little bit with Ryan, but
Yeah.
not
It's
really.
it brings back that retro feeling of NES
Spectre
games.
Knight?
Spectre Knight, yeah.
Yeah.
His I loved his theme so much. I would
Mhm.
jam to that, honestly. But just the 8-bit retro theme, it does so well, and not just like a blatantly nostalgic way. It's like its own thing as well. Like each soundtrack is playing as its own song as well. You can listen to that soundtrack and like do it with different instruments as a more modernized kind of thing, and it would still sound like really good, like unique to this Shovel Knight world. Which is still goofy in concept and in some parts as well too, which I feel like sometimes, with like the Truffle King dance or whatever, like they did pretty well with the 8-bit soundtrack on that. It's not like, it's not the most standalone soundtrack, but standalone, like, unique soundtrack, but it is definitely one that's worth mentioning. I feel like it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice take.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, so I have the Super Mario games down just because I think we need to take some time and appreciate just like those older games. And there's beauty and simplicity,
Definitely.
and those music and like even the old Legend of Zelda games, those Mario games, and like Kirby games. Just the music is, they're ingrained in everyone who grew up like on those games. They're ingrained in the minds of those people, and because the music is so catchy, and it just fits into the world of Mario's music fits well in the Mushroom Kingdom, and even the songs that don't kind of stand out and add to the charm and just the diversity of this world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just those simple little tunes that play while you're running through, and they work so well. And I appreciate them. And kind of like what my first one was Castlevania. I just appreciate those little games.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and their little soundtracks.
They're little sounds.
As they've grown into like Super Mario Odyssey and now what that game's soundtrack is.
Yeah,
It's just cool to see the progression from these long running franchises. Like,
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, and just had to slide that in there because I love Fire Emblem.
Yeah, they're so iconic, and they just like you said, just like stick in people's heads for generations to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy music is great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Oh.
another long-running franchise. I love the soundtracks to that. There's so many soundtracks, though. It's hard for me to actually like get into just because it's so much. And then another one I'll mention is the Silent Hill 2 has a pretty cool main theme that I really like.
Yeah.
If you're interested, give that a listen.
Yeah.
But that one's pretty good.
Yeah, there's one more actually.
What?
I know. It's a secret one.
Oh my goodness, a bonus
A
one.
bonus round soundtrack from a newer game called Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
This is interesting.
yeah, I know it's newer, and I like just recently had brought this up, and people started playing it with people, But the soundtrack is definitely worth mentioning because it's not like super intense music. Even when you are in super intense situations, it's this like synth soundtrack, like techno soundtrack that goes along with you, and it gets a little bit more intense when there's a ton of aliens that are swarming you. But with the theme of the game, you're a blue-collar dwarf, minor dwarf, and you love just drinking beer with your pals and stuff. It wouldn't make sense for that game to just go super intense all of a sudden in these intense situations.
Yeah.
So it fits perfectly when you are in those situations for it to just be like kind of like it's like a really good beat. Like as if it was a standalone
is my
song, it's just kind of a bop.
Yeah.
And it fits so well with like what they would probably be listening to, and it's more like techno because it's in the future, of course.
Future dwarves?
Yeah,
That's
future
unheard of.
dwarves, I know.
They of course don't even live that long.
Yeah. And then it's just like, you have your commander coming on, like, there's a swarm coming, and it's just this guy that like barely even cares about you, and then just having that come on, it gets you motivated to do it, to do your job and stuff, because essentially at the end of the day, it's just a job to them, and that soundtrack fits so well in that environment.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's-
It's kind of a nice change of pace, though. You know, from other games.
Yeah. I'll also bring this up. I think the Soulsborne games have really good soundtracks.
Oh, definitely.
And that's another game, like, it sets the tone of kind of like this atmosphere of being kind of creepy, but then it's not afraid to go grand when you're fighting a boss.
Mhm.
Like I just love the soundtracks like that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Bloodborne especially, one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
One of the best soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those deserve a big mention.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Any other soundtracks you guys want to bring up? Or?
I think we pretty much covered it.
Oh, covered all soundtracks.
All
We did
soundtrack.
not cover all
All
soundtracks.
oh, that's all the soundtracks that need mention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all the soundtracks that matter, really. If you have any other soundtracks that you think are great, well, they don't matter.
Who cares about Chrono Trigger's soundtrack? I
Yeah.
haven't heard it. I can't say anything. about it.
Going into a bit of spoiler territory here with Hollow Knight, I want to mention that again with the final boss on Hollow Knight.
Radiance or Hollow Knight?
The
Hollow Knight.
The Hollow
I
Knight?
love not just the fact that battle goes from like it gets progressively more difficult, but then it gets less difficult once you near the end, and the music just is the indicator of when that starts.
Yeah, it just like dips into just like somberness and
Yeah.
like you feel like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah,
here?
yeah. It's like you feel
Mm-hmm.
almost like guilty for doing this, even though you know it's like something you have to do. It's something, this big evil that you have to cleanse.
Yeah.
But it's just this somber sadness that comes over you.
And like for me, when I was playing it, like I didn't really know what the story was. Like the story's not forefront in the game, so I was like, "What is actually happening here?" So then, like
Yeah.
that, like delved me into like the fan base and what everyone was speculating and like the lore.
Yeah.
I just got wrapped up in all that, and
Yeah.
I'm a proud member of the Hollow Knight community.
Same kind of goes for Divinity 2. Not huge spoilers too, and I know you guys haven't finished it, so I won't say too much, but the music at the end is very orchestral and very somber and just kind of saddening to fit the theme of the game, or the theme of what's happening in the end, which I won't spoil, of course, but it's yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
We should probably mention Undertale has a great soundtrack.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Megalovania,
I did
everyone
want to
knows.
mention that.
That's great. But yeah, if we don't have anything else to bring up for soundtrack wise, we could start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So we're going to leave, I guess, our recommendation for the week. And by we, I mean Tyler. I think it's your turn to recommend a game. So I hope
It
you have
is.
one
But
up your
quick,
sleeve. Oh,
before that, I want to do a quick shout out.
oh my goodness.
There's a
To
guy.
me.
No, there was a guy outside the window who was driving the school bus, and he was wearing this big blue Sonic the Hedgehog shirt.
Yeah, if you're listening out there.
I appreciate
It's
you.
like 86 degrees outside, so
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah. Sonic has a great soundtrack too, by the way.
It sounded a great song.
Yeah, it was a sign.
That's another icon.
Anyways, the recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend Oxenfree actually.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a really clever and nice game. I don't know if nice is the right word, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like those anthology games,
Yeah, it's one of
Dark
those.
Pictures.
It's like those interactive dramas.
But it's like it's got pixel graphics, which I think a lot of the anthology games
It's
have.
not. Is it pixelated?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I don't know. Keep talking. Sorry,
uh,
didn't mean to throw you off.
It's just got a great atmosphere and a great story, and I think all the characters are pretty like well put together, and I think like you could like probably easily throw this story into like one of those dark anthology games, and it would just like not be that great.
Yeah.
But because of like its art style and its sound design and its like
Unique story.
unique
Yeah.
story and it's like and its voice acting,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like it just all comes together, and it's really unique and
And the characters are
Polished.
really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long since I haven't played that. I played that game way back.
Yeah.
I think it was on Xbox Gold or something, and I just downloaded it
Yeah.
and I played it. And yeah, I loved the game, and
Yeah.
it has a super unique approach to like the horror aspects of it.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Yosh. It was It's like really creepy. It's like these friends go to like this island and stuff, and like horror stuff happens, but like they're a group of friends.
Yeah.
And like I think it like balances that like lightheartedness of a friend group and
Yeah.
like actual stress and,
also,
concern.
yeah, dealing with past traumas and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good recommendation.
Recommended.
And
to-
apparently it has a good soundtrack too.
I like it a lot.
Well,
Alright.
very cool. I guess we'll start wrapping it up. So yeah, this has been Greatest Soundtracks,
Yeah.
and we do this podcast every week if you guys want to listen.
Mhm.
Just wherever you listen to your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we have a YouTube channel too. But yeah, we'll start ending things here. Thank you for listening. We do have an email if you want to send us anything, your thoughts, concerns. If you could, checkpointcornerpod@gmail.com. If you could leave us a nice review, that'd be really helpful. We'd appreciate that.
Or a
It
negative
does.
one.
No. Leave a nice one. It would help us out a lot. We'd really appreciate. Don't listen
Send
to
whatever
Tyler.
you'd like. So long as it isn't like a virus or something, we're really open to listening to your feedback, though.
Yes.
Send me
we'll-
food recommendations. I'm hungry.
We'll be back next week. Thank you everyone for listening. We don't know what we're going to talk about, so it'll be a surprise.
We never
Yeah.
do.
All right. Goodbye.
See you next time.
Have a good time.